if I can shift and turn my life around, yeah, you can.
Well, welcome, Julie Ann, to the Soul Seekers podcast. So nice to have you here.
Thank you, Dennis. Great to be here.
Now, we've worked together quite a bit, so we know each other, but the people watching may not know who you are, how you got into breath work, and can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, my name's Julie Ann Horrox, and I've been working with the breath for 25 years. I qualified as a rebirthing practitioner back in 2003 with Christina Artemis, who's the grandmother of breathwork in the UK. And then I trained in 2012 in transformational breath. So I fuse the two together now and call them sovereignty breathwork. And the reason that I started, well, three reasons really. Physically, I had eczema all over my body, was in that addicted to steroids loop, learning, using that to suppress a lot of rage. And then I was shouting at my kids like my parents did, and was like, book has to stop here. How do I, that was my question. That was my prayer, really. How do I let go of the anger? How do I integrate the eczema? How do I stop shouting at my kids? And I realized after a few years of reading self-help stuff that I was actually the common denominator in manifesting abusive relationships. And so those were the main three reasons. And I found a book on rebirthing in the new age. It was a Leonard Auerbach book in a secondhand bookshop on Oldham Street in Manchester. And yeah.
And did you practice from the book, or did you go to a practitioner to coach?
So this is really interesting and magical how this happened. So this was back in the day before the internet, really. I think the internet had just started, but you couldn't just go and Google, and everybody wasn't online. It was right back in the beginning.
And there wasn't Google right at the beginning, was there?
No, I don't remember, but
yep, Yahoo, it was anyway, that's history. Tell us what happened.
Anyway, yeah, I I'd read this book, which was written in the 1970s, it was in a secondhand bookshop called Rebirthing in the New Age by Leonard Orr. And he's the root of breathwork. Well, ancient practices are the root, but he's the main trunk of the tree, if you like. Leonard brought the breathwork from the Himalayas, from Guru to the West. So this book was written by him, and it ticked all the boxes and more. I was like, oh my God, this process is incredible. How do I find a rebirther? And I literally, I was a party girl on the Manchester scene. I went round to one of my friends. There were a load of them all sitting round having a discussion, and she just turned around to me and went, I hadn't told anybody. Literally, I was so excited to tell everybody about this book I'd just read that I could not put down. And she just turned around and went, oh, there's the name of that rebirth you wanted, and gave me a number written on the back of an envelope.
Wow.
How did that even happen? It was just pure magic,
Synchronicity.
Divine intervention, hey?
Synchronicity.
Yeah, synchronicity, but I hadn't even told anybody. It's like, how did you know?
Oh, that's amazing.
It was like I met Dolores Cannon at the weekend, and she just looked at me. The first time I'd been waiting to speak to her for a while, and she just looked at me and she went, you're a weaver. I was like, how did you know that? My ancestors are weavers from back to 1750. Wow. So it's like that. It was really magic. It was magical how and that even more, I knew reading the book that this was what I was meant to be doing. But then when that happened, like, how did that even happen, that this lady just gave me the number and I hadn't even asked? So yeah.
And did it help with the eczema and the shouting at the
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Just transformed. I felt the first session of breath work that I ever had was with Christine McCallum,
Mm-hmm.
who is sadly no longer with us, in
Wow.
Withington. She was working from a flat in Withington in Manchester. She was the only breath worker in Manchester. There was nobody.
Yeah.
And I went round to her flat and she held me in unconditional love for the first time ever in my life, complete non-judgmental. Yeah. And she'd had a similar background. So that made a huge difference, just being held in that beautiful non-judgmental energy. Yeah.
And how did you go from being a recipient of breath work, a client, to actually training?
Well, I did 10 sessions with Christine McCallum, and it just shifted the flow of my life incredibly. Just being held so I could cry, so I could release and have somebody listen to me, have somebody understand, was incredible. And then she'd invited Christina Artemis to come to Manchester to do a weekend workshop. So yeah, it was just after 9/11. I remember walking in and going, oh my God, those towers have come down. It's the end. It's the beginning of the end of separation of humanity. And Christina was like, I like you. And then she had some paper. She had leaflets on the course, the training, and also drama, dance, and voice therapy. So I'd really wanted to go to drama school and ended up studying fashion instead. So right, this was really exciting.
Yeah.
And just knew straight away, right, I want to do the training. But I still wanted to do the training for me to really support me in moving forward in my life in so many different ways. So even though I did the courses, Christina asked me to come back and assist. I was still doing it for myself. And I did the training with my youngest daughter, Daisy. She was actually born at the same time as the training. So she came on the training with me as well. So I took, I did the training with a baby on the breast. Same time, traveling from Manchester down to Bournemouth.
Wow.
2 times a month. So when people say, oh, you're too far away for me, I'm like, well, depends how committed you are.
Yeah.
So I just knew this was, I had to do this. This was the answer to all my prayers. So
yeah. And you went on to train with her?
So I did the full training, the breathwork, rebirthing practitioner, facilitator training.
Yeah.
Qualified in 2003. And at the same time, I did the drama, dance, and voice therapy. And I was the only person on the course to get a distinction.
Wow.
So yes, she invited me to go down and live with her in Bournemouth and run trainings with her. So straight out of the starting gate, I was running trainings with Christina. And then I think the second or the third time we were working at a place in France at this beautiful chateau. And I think it was maybe the second or the third time I think we were running a level 2 training, so a facilitator training. She fell ill. She had a cold or something. She had to, I had to take over the training and run it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. She goes, of course you can. You've done enough. You've done level 1, I don't know, about 4 times. You've done level 2 twice. Yes, you're absolutely fine. And yeah, so right from the beginning, she was encouraging me to, yeah, you can do this, you can make a career of this.
Yeah. And then you studied with Julius Kravitz as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so I'd been a rebirther for 10 years, been running breathing circles. I was living in Bournemouth then. I'd then got my own place, settled in Bournemouth. And then Spirit guided me to open a shop. So I opened a shop called Baraka. And then towards the end of that time, although I loved going to India, designing my own clothes, crystals, jewelry, it was like an energy vortex, if you like, that I created in Bournemouth, a hub for people to come to. For it was a shop, and then downstairs my friends created the Moon Tree holistic center and art gallery. So we'd created a beautiful space, but people were coming in to talk to me in the shop, and I didn't have time to give people sessions because I was busy running the shop and trading at festivals. So it just kept coming in again. I knew I was guided to open the shop. I didn't really want to open a shop, but Spirit was knocking on my door to do it. And as I did it, everything fell into place. And like I say, it was there's a lot of people in recovery in Bournemouth. So it was like a place for people come to meditation, a place for the people who are facilitating all of the people in recovery used to come. And yes, towards the end of my time there, I was realizing I need to get back to doing breath work full time. I was really missing supporting people to make those big shifts. And I was so busy running the shop that I didn't have time to do that. And so I went to the Global Inspiration Conference. I think I'd already been in 2008, the one that my friend Natalie Brown organised in the UK. And then I went to this one in Spain in 2010. And a lovely lady called Anne-Marie from Scotland, who is a senior therapist in transformational breath, gave me a session. And after 10 years of rebirthing, she got her fingers in and started prodding and poking around.
All right, okay.
An additional thing, which is done in transformational breath and not in normal conscious connected breathwork trainings, was to body mapping to get to the root of trauma. And it just took me to a whole nother level. I was crying, I was releasing just by pressing on these points. She was just getting right to more cool stuff. And I'd reduced the eczema massively, but I would still get little flare-ups, you know, it still wasn't 100%. So I decided to do, as soon as she'd given me that session, I was like, what the hell was that? That's taking breath work to a whole nother level. That's it. I want to do the training. And then because I'd had intuition to close the shop as well, as I had sales in my shop, so then I had the money to do it. It was all aligned perfectly, you know, things all line up. And so I did the transformational breath training. And now what I do, sovereignty breathwork, is a fusion of the best of rebirthing and the best of transformational breath, fused together in my own way.
Right. And what kind of conditions do you treat? What kind of people come to you?
Everybody can benefit from better breathing, basically. So if somebody is very traumatized, you know, like PTSD or abuse, it will really get to the root of those sort of things. So I have some clients that are like that. And then other clients that are already successful and busy doing what they're doing, but maybe they don't know how to calm down, how to let go, how to fully integrate the past. So I have a variety of clients, really, from those who've really suffered deep trauma to those who just want to shift the flow of the life to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you see people with physical conditions?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
you eczema, but what other kinds of physical conditions might help?
Physical, yeah, all sorts of different issues. Pain in the body, physical pain, people who've got physical
Yeah.
pain, and usually there's emotional stuff attached to that, which is important, which mainstream doctors don't even see. So sometimes people come with a physical pain and they think they're just doing a breathing technique. And then slowly they get to look at metaphysics, the body-mind connection, and things shift hugely. And then of course there's other, if somebody comes for something physical, they'll find that emotionally there are other layers of things they've never even thought about, looking that shift the flow of the life in ways that they'd never thought of diving into. But the breath takes you wherever you need to go to move forwards.
And for me, one of the great things about it is it integrates the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual. So how does breath work access the spiritual dimension of life?
Well, there are basically 3 levels in every sovereignty breathwork session that you move through: the physical, the mental and emotional, and the spiritual. So how you reach those is by opening up the breath, because we close down our breath, we shut down our breathing to control our emotional pain. But when we're doing that, we're actually controlling our joy and our passion. We don't, if we're putting a lock on to stop difficult emotions, or those we judge as difficult, it also, so what we're doing is opening up the breath on physically, and that drops us into the subconscious, where all our negative beliefs and programming are held. And when we continue to use the high vibrational energy force of this breath, it digs and it brings to the surface anything of a lower vibration, shifts it to a higher vibration, and clears it permanently, and that leaves a space. And into that, this is why it's always important to set a high intention. And into that space can come that beautiful high vibrational, and our intention of more love, more joy, more energy, more confidence, more calm, whatever anybody wants.
Yeah, and for me, sometimes it's like a psychedelic trip, because I see different beings, angels and spirit beings, and I feel a real connection with the whole universe.
Connection to nature. People say that they feel just, they've not noticed, they've not realized that they haven't been slowing down and taking time to smell the roses, just rushing around too much, and just feeling that beautiful connection with nature. And yes, sometimes people have visions, sometimes people's whole body is vibrating. Sometimes people feel pain more, but then they've not been aware of it. So the breath is like, football stadium lights on your subconscious and what's going on in the body. So there might be things that feel a little bit worse at first, because you've not noticed that actually that your body's been crying out to you. So but once you're aware of the issues, then you're not a victim to them any longer. You can do something about whatever issues the breath has highlighted, and a little bit will get cleared with the breath. But it'll also highlight negative thoughts, negative beliefs.
We've created a retreat on manifesting the life of your dreams, I guess some people might be puzzled. What's breathwork got to do with manifestation and abundance?
Well, because when we breathe, when we learn to breathe in our bellies, we're breathing in abundance. Because breathing in our belly is our root, it's our foundation, it's our connection to the earth. And if we're not connecting to Mother Earth, to Pachamama, if we're not actually grounded, we can't receive fully. Yeah, and manifesting our dreams, well, some of them are short ones, some of the are longer ones. I've just manifested in the last few years something that I wrote in my training back in 2003, and that was to be living with my partner in the sun, streets. And that one took me like 25 years to manifest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, you mentioned negative beliefs or self-limiting beliefs. And when we address those, we open ourselves to.
Yeah. And some things just shift really, really quickly.
Yeah.
We've had, well, a couple of retreats that we've done before, we've had amazing feedback, and people have it's just shifted the flow of the life, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. People
they realize that they have those, it's, you know, it's them thinking choosing the thoughts that they're thinking.
Yeah.
And we know that if you're doing psychotherapy or other sort of talking therapies, you know that, but dropping into the body and having that body knowing just shift things so much faster. And layers and layers of things come up just in one session.
Yeah.
You can just shift things so much faster by doing the somatic breath work of dropping into the body and feeling and letting go on every breath, feeling and letting go.
Well, that was my experience working through issues around depression. And after 30 years of psychotherapy, suddenly I did breath work and experienced these massive shifts. So that's what led me to want to train and
yeah, well, that's it.
That breathwork training.
That's it. That's what people say, that they can shift through years of stuff in a few sessions.
Yeah.
That would take you, a long time to just go there with your head. But there's a lot of things that we can't, because the trauma went in when we were babies, when we were in the womb. If our mother was anxious or scared, we picked up her thoughts and feelings when we were a little baby. If we weren't fed on demand or changed nappies on demand, we'd be hungry or not have what we needed. And all of those are little traumas that have a huge effect. And if we don't have what we need, we don't feel we deserve what we need, and then that continues in the rest of our life, that if and that way of being. So going back to and we don't specifically go, we're going back to that. The breath is divine intelligence, and it just takes us where we need to go and shift those deep rooted traumas and blocks and patterns that are really the cause of anxiety and depression, and which is so rife today. That's why breath work has become so popular, because it's really helping people to let go of physical symptoms, mental and emotional symptoms.
So you've started your training program in sovereignty breathwork. Where do you want to go next with your work?
Well, I was telling you about manifesting my dream. So I met my partner, Graham, like almost 2 years ago. And yes, the man that I've been looking for all my life. We both know that. And he happens to have land in Koh Phangan in Thailand. So I'll be moving some of my work's there. I think we'll be going there for the winters. And we're going to be, I'm not sure where, for the rest of the time. I know we're in Leek in Staffordshire now, but project that are working on in the Lake District, and then potentially there's something coming up, a castle in Ireland. So watch this space. I don't quite know. I'm waiting for the clear guidance from the universe, but we're staying in the UK, and I'm not sure exactly where we're gonna be yet. But running this training program once we know where our base is in the UK, and also in Thailand as well, which is a crystal island, absolutely beautiful paradise in the sun.
And I know you mentioned that the drama, dance, and voice therapy, and I believe you've also trained in family constellations.
Yeah, that's right. I've always said I've done a lot of family constellations myself over the years. So I've been using that as another tool, because I think it works brilliantly with breath work. And right from the beginning of my breathwork training, I was also regularly going and doing family constellations weekends in Dorset. And it's brilliant because it goes right back into the family line and shifts things. And a few months ago, I got the opportunity to train in that here, and I've been going to events for my own healing and my own family's healing as well. And so I'm now able to offer that myself, and that's just an added dimension. It works beautifully with the breath work because you can trace back a pattern, not that you need to know where it comes from, but it's just another added tool, added dimension that you can trace it back. Was it your mother, your father, your grandfather, your great-grand, trace the energy back and use it together with the breath work. It's just another tool that I love to use. And breath work, so people say, oh, what else do you do?
Yes.
In Reiki. I do a lot of shamanic work, but for myself, with other people, I love especially the South American, because I spent a lot of time there. I really resonate with that. So that's what I do for my own personal work. But the breath work is so powerful. That's why I've never really trained in anything else. But the family constellations, I think, is another really useful add-on, as is doing art therapy and walking in breathing in nature, and
all the things that we do on our retreats.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Art therapy, being in nature, and then I bring the dream work, working with the unconscious that way, and the quantum regression.
They're all great tools. And also, once you've really know how to really be in nature and get the lessons and slow down, that's the thing. Often we're rushing, trying to climb a mountain, or walking with somebody, chit-chatting, and that's a therapy now, isn't it? Walking and talking.
Yes, walking and talking.
But we can just be in gossip, can't we, with a friend? But actually just going on your own and being in nature and slowing down and really noticing, nature is a great teacher. Nature and the animals.
Great.
Yeah.
So we are coming towards the end of our time. I just wondered if there's anything else you'd like people to know about your work.
Well, if I can shift and turn my life around, yeah, you can. Because before I started doing this breathwork training, I lost everything, lost my kids, my house, my family. Yeah, life was a real struggle. I was going out partying every weekend, taking a lot of recreational drugs, just in miserable relationships, you know, and I just couldn't shift myself. I needed help. I needed my hand holding and guidance. And I was so lucky to meet all these amazing people in my life who were all inspirations, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel very blessed now to be doing work I love, to have an amazing supportive relationship, and I've shifted the flow of relationships with lots of my family members, you know. Just ease, no drama.
Yeah.
Letting go of all the drama and just going more, finding our way to the more flow and ease. Yeah. And if I can do that and shift and turn things around, then other people can.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really great talking to you again, as always.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure people will send in questions, and I'll put your details in the comments for
Yeah.
people to
Always,
follow up.
always happy to answer questions.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks
Thanks,
very
guys.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Looking forward to working with you again on this retreat. And it's
Yes.
exciting not knowing who's going to appear and
Yes.
stuff
Yeah.
they're going to bring with them. And yeah, but it's always magical, isn't it, in a
It is.
retreat, that the people who come together resonate with one another, they trigger one another,
Yes.
the healing that goes on, you know.
Yeah.
The energy might sort of go weird because stuff's coming up, but we hold the space and we move through it, and
Yes.
everybody becomes really good friends and stay friends at the end.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
never know uh, what we're going to get.
No.
It's
No. It's all
exciting.
part of the adventure, isn't
Yeah, yeah.
it?